Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, if I may have your attention, please. GameSpot presents My Esteemed Colleagues. Welcome back to the second episode of My Esteemed Colleagues, GameSpot's newest game show. We have a wonderful show for you. Let's introduce the contestants. Shaun McInnis, tell me.
Do you like my hat?
What is going on with that hat?
This hat is the sweet prize that I got for winning the last show, and I get to wear it until the end of this show.
In which it will be passed to the winner. Do you think, Tom McShea, you will be the winner?
I see the finish line from here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's right in front of you. You can almost taste it. How are you doing, Kevin VANORD?
I'm great.
Yeah? You're ready to play. He's got that killer instinct in his eye. Chris Waters.
Hello, Thomas.
Do you know your path to victory?
Sound arguments, convincing logic, and charisma.
But let's get to the rules of what we are here to play. My Esteemed Colleagues is based on Metagame, a Kickstarter project created by Local Number 12. The rules are complicated, so we're just going to play and hopefully you'll catch up at some point. Here's the gist. Several cards with games on them, several topics on these cards. I read a card topic, they choose their game that they would like to defend, and then hopefully something happens in that wake. I will choose the first topic of the night. Is it night? I don't know. It might be day. Which has better characters is our first topic. We will give our contestants a moment to think about what they would like to argue today. Thinking. Shaun McInnis, lead us off.
All right, my game has great characters because it makes lovable protagonists out of some of the slimiest, creepiest creatures in the world. And I am, of course, referring to a game called Worms. I love the Worms in Worms. They're great. They're charming. They're funny. They've got great accents. Personally, I love playing as the Scottish Worms because I find Scottish accents hilarious. No offense if you're actually Scottish. That's a compliment. And they've also got a lot of great characters in the form of weapons. For example, the concrete donkey or that type of thing. They've got so much personality. They're always spewing insults at each other, but it's so lovable and charming. You can't help but love these little worms, even though they're terrible creatures.
Very nice, Shaun McInnis. Let's move on to our next contestant, Thomas McShea. Which has the best characters in your book?
My game, I would have chosen this even if I didn't have the card. Super Meat Boy has just incredible characters. The main character is a cube of meat who leaves trails of blood wherever he goes, gets torn up to shreds, and then rebounds right away to keep going. He's going after Dr. Fetus, who is a fetus in a fetus jar on top of a tuxedo-wearing thing. He's a great villain because he's a fetus. And he's trying to rescue Bandage Girl, who is essentially Meat Boy with adhesive tape covering her body. These characters are just instantly timeless, and they resonate deeply with me because, well, I think meat is funny, and fetuses are always a hoot.
All right, that does it for you. Let's move on to our next player, Kevin VANORD. What is or will be the best characters? You have 45 seconds, and go.
In my book, The Sims has the best characters. And the reason The Sims has the best characters is because they are your characters. I can create entire households of interesting people, all of whom are different from each other. They have different characteristics. Sometimes they can't hold in their pee for very long.
or their poop.
Sometimes they set things on fire all the time because they're very clumsy. But the thing that makes these interesting is I can tailor them to be who I want them to be. I have populated entire games of The Sims with people that I know in real life, with coworkers, with colleagues, with family members. They are wonderful to be in my real life and therefore the best characters in a game.
Interesting scatological knowledge there, Kevin VANORD. Chris Waters, take us home. Best characters. You can go now.
Annelids, lumps of meat, incontinent weirdos. None of them hold a candle to the majesty that is the eccentric, the omnipotent king of all cosmos in Katamari Damacy. This fellow spans the sky wearing bizarre outfits and exhibiting an an almost absent-minded rule over the universe. This is one day he misplaces all the stars and then recruits his adorable little princelings on Earth to roll up the balls. You see them on screen rolling up all sorts of items, and their determination inspires you, but it's truly the king of all cosmos, a paragon of weirdness and eccentricity that makes this game, Katamari Damacy, have the best character.
Very interesting. We are now going to move to the rebuttal round. Every contestant will have 3 minutes, 3 minutes in total, to rebut each other's arguments. Shaun McInnis, you look like you know what you want to say. Go for it.
Absolutely. Chris Waters, I will grant you that the King of All Cosmos is a terrific character. He is one of the all-time greatest characters.
Absolutely.
But
Fully.
he is just a character. Just a single man. And he is bogged down by the boring people that fill the world in Katamari Damacy. You're just constantly running into annoying guys who are like out just walking in the middle of the street and they're in the way of your Katamari ball. So often when your Katamari ball is too small to run them over, and they're just in your way and they're annoying, and the prince is just a non-character too. He doesn't add anything to the game. King of All Cosmos is great, but there's literally tens, if not hundreds, of characters in that game.
I
who
just
are just
let him
useless.
give it to you.
I find this an
useless.
odd argument to make, Shaun, given your game has one character, a worm, repeated over and over and
But
over and over and
of
over again.
different ethnicities.
And let's get to the real flaw of your argument here, is that character is not quantified by single numbers. Yes, the King of Cosmos is one entity, but his character is so voluminous and so nuanced and so bizarre and hilarious that he far eclipses any of the other characters in all of these other games combined.
Bit of a lopsided argument between the left side of the table.
So, Chris, your character is great. We all acknowledge the King of All
He's
Cosmos
stellar.
is great.
That's why the Katamari is the best choice.
It's easy to have a good character who speaks. Mm-hmm. Super Meat Boy it's the visual iconography that they established with this is what is so impressive, because there's 3 unique characters. They don't have to speak to be memorable. You remember this fetus in a jar, Dr. Fetus with a bow tie. He would be an esteemed colleague. It's really interesting to be able to create a character that you remember that doesn't say a single word.
They are interesting, but they're merely interesting because of how they put a funny spin on the archetype. Dr. Fetus, haha, he's a fetus in a jar. But really, he's just a mustache-twirling villain out of some, damsel in distress movie from the 20s. And Meat Boy and Bandage Girl are the same. It's just that this one's a ball of meat, this one's a ball of meat wrapped in bandages. So it's really just a gimmick. And granted, those cutscenes do have some charm,
Can we just cut to the chase here, though? Tofu Boy is also in my game to mock PETA, which is very good. And Kevin, your game it's got Chris and Shaun and me in it.
Okay, first of all,
that's the ultimate argument against it. I'm sorry.
okay, first of all, meat is better than tofu. So don't you even go and pretend that Tofu Boy is somehow adding to the game when his presence detracts from it.
It's
Have
actually
you
funny.
tasted tofu?
You can't actually pass the first level with him because he's so unathletic because it's tofu.
So my other question is, what kind of meat is Meat Boy? His very presence depends on whether, if he's bacon, I would even buy your argument, but I think that he's probably something like ground chuck.
Oh yeah, he's ground
that's
chuck.
true.
Or chub.
I would. It's not chum. What, chub or chum?
It's chub night.
I don't know what that means.
You never
But he's
watched
not
The
a
Simpsons, clearly.
He's not a high grade meat, but that doesn't matter
Let's
because
end
he's
it right
timeless.
there with chub meat. Not entirely sure how that happened, but I feel like our clear winner for this round was, in fact, Tom McShea, due to him comparing us to a piece of meat. Bow tie, he would be an esteemed colleague. Very nice, Tom McShea. You have won round 1. We will move on to round 2. New topic time. You guys have just 1 card left in your hand.
which one am I going to choose?
Topic
What's
at
it
hand
gonna
is
be?
which lets players express themselves more. Which lets players express themselves more. Take a moment, think about it. We will start this round off with Tom McShea.
I think we can all agree that. Well, I think we can all agree when left to your own devices, people are inherently violent. People inherently want to solve problems through force, to exert their own will permanently over someone else. We also want the government to fund everything that we do.
Get to it.
My game is America's Army, and this this is a game in which I can express who I am at my very being by strapping on a pack and wearing camo and shooting dudes that I don't even know, that I don't even care who they are, just shooting dudes with guns because that is what I am and who I want to be.
With a few seconds remaining, you wrap up your argument. Very nice, Tom McShea. Let's move on to Kevin VANORD. You have the table. You can go now.
My game is the very embodiment of player expressiveness. My game is Little Big Planet. Now, Little Big Planet, you can express yourself whether or not you think big or think small. Let's say, for example, that wasn't meant to be that funny.
God.
Let's assume that you have small aspirations. Perhaps you just want to play dress up. You can dress your character, make yourself look any way you want to be as your little sack boy. You can wear a dress, you can wear a bow, you can make your burlap look any way you want. But if you want to think big, you have an entire creation suite. You make your own games. You can make a shmup. You can make a tower defense game. You
And
can
your
make
time
whatever
is up.
you want.
We get your points. Chris Waters, bring us home.
Expressing yourself is really how you know who you are, how you find out about yourself. And what better way to find out about yourself than to be put to the test in an environment such as the one that Portal creates. As you go through this game, solving puzzles and interacting with GLaDOS, the seemingly innocuous turned malevolent AI, you really start to fill yourself into those gaps, into the gap left by the silent protagonist, into the gap left by the whitewashed walls of the Aperture Science facility. With each portal you shoot, you think you are projecting yourself into the world, expressing, I'm going to create space here, I'm going to create an entrance there, I'm going to exit here. It's your way of interacting with the world and thus interacting with yourself.
Very nice argument there, Chris Waters. We will move to the rebuttal round. How about you start us off for the...
I have an alternate suggestion.
Yeah.
How about you let me argue mine?
Okay. Why not?
I'm
Shaun
for
McInnis.
it. I'm for it.
You can start right.
All right,
now.
Portal is great if you're expressing yourself in some supernatural world filled with crazy technology like portals, but most of us are just normal 9-to-5ers, driving to and from work every day, driving to and from school, to family, to the grocery store. That's why Burnout is the most expressive game, because we all know what it's like to sit behind the wheel of a car, feel frustrated with our life, and we just want to ram the next driver off the road and see him crash and die in horrific, grisly slow motion as his car is rending into bits and pieces of metal. That is the most expressive thing that you could possibly do, is to take another driver and just erase him from existence. Enough said, I think.
The law of the universe on your side, Shaun McInnis. But I feel like some of your esteemed colleagues may have something to say about that. Thomas McShea, rebut.
I'm just worried that Shaun is confusing expression with catharsis here. You
Nope.
know, you can express yourself in a lot of ways in this world, but what Shaun describes is that pleasure of releasing your frustration, of releasing the pent-up aggression that you have from the forces of the world that are arrayed against you, and just blasting someone else to smithereens in a cathartic release. That's just releasing the pressure valve. You're
Oh,
not really...
Chris Waters, I don't know what goes on in that deflated basketball you call a head, but expression
Ad
is
hominem
all
attacks. That's what
about...
we've resorted to.
Expression is all about taking what's inside you and projecting it out onto the world. Whether you're creating art in Little Big Planet, whether you're doing that thing that Tom did in the Army game, it's all about taking what's inside you and delivering it to the world. And sometimes you have pent-up rage and anger and hatred inside you, and you just want to give that to the world.
Can I switch
in
sides
the
of the table
form
right
of
now?
smashing a dude
I don't
off the
feel
road.
safe.
That's
Oh, God.
expression.
See, here's the thing about expression too, is that you have to have actual freedom in order to express. Expression means taking something from within you and having the freedom to express it in the way you want, which is not something that you can do in Portal. In Portal, you have one path from one test room to the next. There is only one way to solve that puzzle. When you figure it out, you move on. There is no room for expressiveness. The game expresses, the player does not.
One path, 15 stickers. You're just talking about numbers here, Kevin. Little Big Planet, for all of its supposed leeway and creativity, is really just a whole big pile of crap that you can put on yourself in order to brand yourself in some way and attach external identifiers to you.
So let me ask you, as Shell, how many outfits did you put on? How many lipstick colors were at your disposal?
True Expression knows that it isn't about what you're wearing on the outside, but what you think on the inside.
How many levels did you create?
Sean, or Kevin, I play games to escape reality. I'm not the most athletic guy. I'm not the most charismatic guy. When I play like a video game, any video game, I want to be like the graceful superhero that I know is inside of me, but it doesn't get out. When I play Little Big Planet, I stumble and fall and can't get up ledges and get stuck and have to restart. There's no creative expression in that game because you're so hampered by the clunky controls and downright busted physics that I have to put up with in real life.
Because, what is it? Sarge's Heroes, America's... What is it? What game are you... What is
America's Army.
America's Army, because going down corridors and blasting dudes in the face is exactly the way
corridors.
you love to express yourself.
This is the most innate human desire is to kill.
You know
And
what,
that's
Tom?
what you get to do. It's nice and lovely.
You know what? Being in the military is all about discipline, submitting to your superiors, and following orders, okay?
Those are the
That
same
doesn't
thing.
sound very expressive to me. I don't know, but then again, I only spent 30 years in the Army.
Time is up with veteran
That may have been a lie.
liar
That might have
Shaun
been a lie.
McInnis
Big lie.
taking the round for both lying grievously, perhaps in a way that could get you thrown in prison. I'm not entirely sure. But also advocating murder on their way home. Very nice, Shaun. We will move to our new trivia
Devious.
round, which is a wild card round. This particular round, round 3, which we are titling Maximum Gentlemen, involves me passing around 4 different topic cards. Players will then have to flip over the card in the middle and then argue why that card coincides with their topic the best. I'm going to do so first with handing out the cards to my esteemed colleagues. They can take a moment, look at their card, think about it, and flip the middle. Shaun,
All right, here we go. Are you ready to flip the middle?
flip the middle. What do we have in the middle?
Prince of Persia.
Prince of Persia.
This
All right.
is this is the 1989 Apple II version.
Very nice. Hopefully you all have played it. Recent, I don't know. We haven't seen many in that series lately. Kevin VANORD, I want you to start off. Give me why, what is your topic, and why Prince of Persia suits it well.
Prince of Persia is an elegant game. In fact, I would argue that the entire series is one series of elegant games. Have you ever felt yourself flying along ledges in the way you do in Prince of Persia, of running along walls? No, I'm not talking about the original
Point of
Apple
order,
version.
stick to the specific original Apple version. These are game-specific cards.
But have you ever felt the rush of sliding past a trap? Have you ever felt the joy of leaping over a chasm? Prince of Persia brings these things to you in such an elegant fashion that you feel you are embodying the prince. You feel as though you can conquer the world, that you can have whatever you want, simply because you have the grace to leap over that ledge, to escape those spikes.
The Grace and the Escape. Chris Waters, what have you got?
In the late 80s, when Prince of Persia was released, it was a platformer that just really made great use of space, because you moved between discrete screens. So on one screen, it might just be a long, narrow corridor with a single guard, impassable. You have to find a sword in order to pass or be struck down. Other areas involve pits or columns or multiple level hallways that you need to explore to get through, and the traps that my esteemed colleague mentioned, such as fake floors, aren't just things to avoid, but they are things to trigger. You aren't just avoiding them, you're trying to use them to your advantage to find your best way through this space. And sometimes it's the matter of detecting
And that's
at the
all
very
you get
top.
for today. Shaun McInNIS,
You know
you're up.
where the real thrill in Prince of Persia comes from is when you make your way from one room to the next. You never know what you're going to get. You never know what you're going to encounter, and that's the thrill, and that's the excitement, and that's why Prince of Persia is unpredictable more than anything else, provided you're only playing it for the first time and not actually a second time. When you're going into these rooms, seeing these traps, it's exciting. You don't know what you're gonna do. You gotta figure it out. You gotta figure out the best way to maneuver through these environments, and it's exciting. You don't know what you're gonna get. It's unpredictable. It's crazy. I've never been in a Persian castle. Have you been in a Persian castle? They're very unpredictable. You literally cannot predict what lies inside of a Persian castle.
It's a valid point there, Shaun McInnis. Tom McShea makes some more valid points.
Since man developed speech, they try to verbalize or communicate in some way what love is. And then you have poems, and you have cave drawings, and you have, I don't know, other things.
Text messages.
You have text messages. There's a lot of things trying to express
Sexting.
love. My card is about the simulations of its subject, and Prince of Persia is a game about undying love. And you see this expressed so well in a video format. The quest against all odds, with the ticking clock, with death coming from a single sword strike or fall on spikes. You persevere because of love to rescue that princess who Jafar has locked away in the tower. So that is why this is such an amazing simulation of its subject matter.
Blaming it on Jafar, as it always is. Kevin VANORD, you will lead us off in the rebuttal round. 3 minutes starts with you.
Shaun,
Yes, Kevin?
I do appreciate the elegance of your argument so
Thank you.
much that
I appreciate how unpredictable your argument was.
Thank you. However, I would suggest that Prince of Persia is not actually unpredictable. That
I would
you
disagree, but continue.
that you have all the tools that you need, the visual tools and the storytelling tools that you need to
And the
understand
every level's the
exactly.
same every time tools. Every game you ever play is unpredictable the first time you play it. The Prince of Persia is the same every single time. It's not unpredictable.
Yeah, and
it
you know
is
what?
literally predictable.
And as you play it more and more,
That
you
makes you
figure out
better
the
at the
flaws
game.
in the game, and you figure out that maybe it doesn't make such great use of space. You figure out the flaws. You spend more time with something, the uglier it is, the more it wears on you. It becomes less elegant. It provides a worse depiction of love. It makes a worse use of space.
You're just
Sean's-
substituting negative
Sean's
adjectives
just
for everything.
treading water because he doesn't have an argument. I'm sorry,
Sure
Sean.
I do.
You had a
It's
bad card.
unpredictable.
No, noble
Kevin
effort.
actually had a great card, but it was such a bad argument because Prince of Persia is not actually he's not actually elegant in that game. He moves with such a stuttering start and stop motion that Sackboy can outstrip him in a race. That Sackboy.
Would you say the same thing about, for example, Wander in Shadow of the Colossus, who moves with an incredible amount of awkwardness? And yet, I would never call Shadow of the Colossus awkward. And in the same way, Prince of Persia is an incredibly elegant game. That doesn't mean that every move you make is, devoid of clumsiness. But it means that the overall experience means that you're moving through these places and that you learn how to move and
So
how
you've
to
shifted
interact.
this from the elegance of movement to the elegance of the game design. That game is actually very clunkily designed. It's all about hidden traps, and you have to jump here to make the ceiling plate move here. And if you walk over a spike, you can get past it, but if you go a little too quickly, it's not very elegant. It wasn't until the later Prince of Persias that they made something elegant out of the initial idea, but the initial idea was pretty rough.
I'm shocked to hear you disparaging what is clearly an excellent example of a puzzle platformer, Tom, a genre you hold dear. Prince of Persia makes such good use of space that you know exactly what speeds you need to move, where you need to touch, so that plate above you falls down but doesn't fall down on you and smite you down. And if you are, as my esteemed colleague Shaun was wallowing in during his unpredictable argument, exploring it for the first time, you make discoveries along the way of this panel is almost hidden by the top of the screen, but it's still there. It's a puzzle to overcome obstacles, to navigate past them, and the space is used so well that it just presents all these different challenges.
As far as the use of space, your game, it's mostly empty screen because there's just walls you can't interact with at all. So it fills the whole screen with empty gray panels. So it's not a very good use of space.
You know what
Artistically, perhaps, but in terms of gameplay, it's an excellent job.
We have reached the end of the Prince of Persia round, and I will label our winner as Tom McShea. Tom McShea, everyone.
I knew we
Tom
should have gone
McShea.
after him in that.
Very
round.
nice.
Come on,
Fair
guys.
Mine was a bulletproof argument, though.
I'm a little worried. I've never once won a round of this game.
Tom McShea, as the winner of this week, you will be competing in Gentlemen's Duel Pistols at Dawn. The rules of this round are: go into the final round with a winner. They are given a topic and 2 games. I will read the topic. You can choose one of those 2 games and who you would like to duel with. You then make your argument. The other person makes their argument. There is a brief rebuttal round, and then the 3 people not chosen will decide a winner. Thomas McShea, are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
You are ready.
Let's
the 2
see.
cards up for discussion
Here we go.
are...
Well, what's the topic?
Oh, the topic is... which is more of an embarrassment to all games? Embarrassment to all
Seriously?
games. 5 seconds to think. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hand him off. Who is your opponent this week?
Chris is getting this card.
Chris Waters, are you ready? Are you ready? Do you know embarrassment to all games? Thomas McShea, start it off.
I go first? I thought
first.
the winner didn't. Okay, so I'm just choosing a game that is flat out disgustingly bad. Bejeweled. I mean, I don't want to sound like an elitist, but like we play games for a living, and we know the games can be art. We know the games are so much more than just shooting stuff or match day. Like there's stuff like Journey out there, stuff like Shadow of the Colossus that tell real story and have real emotion. And Bejeweled it's a time waster, and it devalues our entire like passion into something that's a little more than wasting time, than something that you do for 10 minutes on the train. And it's almost insulting to think that like some people out there, you know, some people out there think games are little more than Bejeweled and Tetris and these other games that can be good, they can be addicting, can be fun, but are so
And
shallow.
that is your time. Chris Waters.
With apologies to young Chris Waters, sat at his Apple IIgs, Defender is a really embarrassing game for the games industry. This is a game where you fly in a spaceship to the left or the right. Ad nauseum, around in a circle, shooting whatever, like, you shoot things that show up, and then occasionally you can, like, go down and rescue your dude, but that's it. It's the equivalent of sitting in your chair and just going, pew, 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 all night and every day. It barely ever changes. It's just, obviously it's a graphical train wreck, but, you know, for the time, for 1980, sure, it was a spaceship. You put some pixels together, anything looks like a spaceship at that time. It just lacks any kind of creativity to just send the player around the same environment in a loop like some weird zoetrope
All right, Chris
game.
Waters, your initial argument is over. You will now both have 2 minutes to argue why the other person is horribly, horribly wrong. Tom McShea, you won regulation. Let's start with you.
You actually kind of gave my argument for me. This game came out in 1980. Like it's like 2 or 3 years, 4 years after Pong. The video game industry was so early back then that people didn't realize what it was capable of, what interactive stories could do. So while I agree with everything you said, I kind of gave them a pass because it was so early, and it's, you know, and it was just mindless fun. Games were a little more than mindless fun. I mean, this Bejeweled came out in 2001. We're talking about after games were established as an art form, as an impressive medium for adults and
10 years later, millions of people are still playing Bejeweled, and there are millions of Match 3 clones all across every device you will ever find. I don't think there's a stronger argument for something being just simply entertaining than that kind of popularity. And sure, games can be a lot of things. They can be moving, they can tell great stories, they can challenge the way we think about the world, but they can also just be fun. They don't have to be all that stuff. They can just be simple fun that you can enjoy and feel good about. And that's what Bejeweled does really well. And I have a lot of respect for Bejeweled as a result, and I think it's a great example of games as simple pleasure.
The popularity is its biggest problem, though, because, I mean, so many people only think there are games like Bejeweled and Angry Birds. And when those are the most popular games out there, then people don't realize that there's real emotion and there's real power in games, and they still think of them as a second-rate medium.
You're not giving people enough credit
If people
here.
understood Shadow of the Colossus was out there, I wouldn't have a problem with Bejeweled. It's not bad in and of itself. It's that it's so popular that it devalues our entire passion.
So because Bejeweled is reaching so many people who don't know things about games, it's embarrassing to games. I think it's a great thing for games to be able to reach that many people, because then those people could think, hey, maybe there's something a little more complex. Maybe there's something a little more involved.
But this game
I'll give this other game a try. And that leads them down the path to seeing the great stuff that our industry has to offer. And I think that's what makes Bejeweled great.
This game is so simple, nobody's going to stretch out beyond it. They're going to think this is it. Is that? I thought that was the end.
Yeah, that beep was highly
yeah. That
That was no
misleading.
good?
No, you gotta.
Oh.
Okay. No, it was. I liked what you were doing. I just didn't realize
That was
it.
like a truck backing up.
It was a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll have to work on my beep for next episode. Kevin, Shaun, me, what do we think? My argument, or I'm going to have to go with Tom McShea on this one. He seemed to make the best
Oh,
argument.
you're the biggest McShea fanboy I've ever met.
In that, Bejeweled is in fact a bit of a travesty when you think about its repercussions for serious gamers.
You know what? I think Bejeweled is a powerful tool in that it brings new people into gaming, and that in itself is a gateway drug towards things like Shadow of the Colossus. I think I'm gonna have to go with Chris.
So I'm the tiebreaker?
Tiebreaker.
See,
again.
here's my thing, is that I think you both work a crap show arguing things that you actually do not believe, but you were both very convincing at it. So my thing comes down to who is most convincing arguing something that they really didn't believe in, and I'm going to go with Tom as being more convincing.
Tom
He really does believe that.
McShea.
Or maybe
The
he doesn't. I
indignation
probably
out of
doesn't.
his competitor. Let's pass the hat, Shaun McInnis. To can you
Fair
can you
enough.
pass it right over that and
This
then
is-
to the other
you
camera?
got-
This is
There we go.
so
There we go.
laborious.
Whoa!
That was magical.
Nice work, Tom McShea. That does it for this week of My Esteemed Colleagues. If you enjoyed the show, you can check out and play this on your own. Metagame, the game debate game, is what it's all about. Local number 12, you can find it on Kickstarter. They also have a website, www.metaga.me. If you like the show, let us know in the comments below. And I think that does it for this week. Shaun McInnis, thank you for your losing performance.
I just want to say thank you for letting me participate in that game, even though you tried to skip over me that one
that's,
round.
I try.
That was
we'll probably
egregious.
Try that again
That
next
was
week.
egregious.
Maybe you won't catch us this time. Thomas
I
McShea.
feel like Jack the Ripper in this hat.
Yes, you look like him as well. Kevin VANORD.
I'm going to be the Susan Lucci of this show, aren't I?
You are. Chris Waters.
Well argued, McShea. Well met.
And that does it for me. Check back in 2 weeks' time for your next episode of My Esteemed Colleagues.